Lore in the Morn, which is kind of funny. I call it Lore in the Morning, but I'm doing it for people who are on the other side of the hemisphere, other side of the planet, and it's not morning at all for you guys. It's probably mid-afternoon or lunch or whatever it is. So it's funny that I call it that, and I realize that right now. Now, for you guys who don't know what's going on, I try to do early morning stuff just to hang out with people another time where we can just talk and discuss things. And, of course, I always try to bring topics and things to just hang out about. Also, you can catch me at twitter.com/lore reloaded and facebook.com/lore reloaded. Cool thing going on with Twitter right now. If you start following me on Twitter at the moment, you don't have to pay for it. So it's free subscription for Twitter. So go to twitter.com and follow me on Twitter. You're not going to pay a dime. It's a cool thing they're doing right now. So definitely go check that out while supplies last. So I'm going to give it a couple seconds for people to come in. Then we're going to start talking about The Wolf Inside from Discovery. This is going to be a little more enjoying it, not being so what's the word I'm looking for, negative on it, because a lot of people think the post shows are negative. I don't necessarily think so. I'm just giving my opinion, but you know, I'll try to be a little more lighthearted here. So, taking a look at the people, we got Ducala, what's going on, 14K Liam, Cyborg in the house, The Right Gamers, Alexandra Sandu, Timothy, Trek001, hey baby, how you doing? How you doing? So, let's just jump into it. Of course, with these shows, Ket Walski, the one, the only Ket Walski, whose videos actually come into my Discord. People shout him out there too. Just so you know, this is a discussion. This is a back and forth between you and me. So we may continue talking about Discovery. If you're here for Discovery only, I get sidetracked quite a bit. Got Raven reporting in from War Games Prototypes and The Right Gamers. How awesome is that? So, Discovery. This is me just going to be giving my honest thoughts in a more, again, positive way of taking a look at it. And just breaking it down to its components, not going scene by scene. So, the concept of The Wolf Inside that I did like was you take Starfleet officers and you put them where they're forced to pretend to be Terran Empire soldiers and see what happens and see their darker sides come out. It's and a lot of people are going to hate this, but it is similar to I think in the Pale Moonlight, where you put a Starfleet officer in a situation where they're forced to do horrific things and see how they come out of it. So I don't hate that concept. As a concept for an episode, that's actually pretty good when you think about it. It's actually very interesting. There's some dynamics I just can't be positive about, though, with the romantic romantic points. So we're going to stay away from that for the most part because I just don't think it's necessary. You also have an engineer. He's the only guy that can get them back, as far as they know. They're looking at another option through the Defiant, though we all know that that's probably going to be a way they can't do. It's probably going to be a dead end. So they really need Stamets to come back. And so you have that subplot, which I think is very interesting as well. So you have Michael, who is going to her first, well, it's not her first, she's going to an execution. And the way that's done, I enjoy because of the subtlety and because it looks like this isn't the first execution she's done. She doesn't look like she's happy about it, but it almost seems like she may be numb to it, or she expects she expects it to happen. It's already happened to her a couple of times, and again, I really enjoy it. I would be interested to see how Cisco or Picard would have put up with that. Trek001, group of people forced to do terrible things against their will, also known as the cast of Voyager. Yep. Yeah, I mean, the cast of Voyager are heroes for what they were forced to do in making Voyager. I completely agree with that. Timothy says, agreed with regard to concept of mirror episodes, but I've come to the conclusion Michael Burnham is a bit daft. I can agree with that on some of the opinions. I wish they had expanded what she does in the mirror universe a lot more. Again, she goes to this execution. She is numb to it. She lets it go through. She doesn't even flinch on this one. She just seems kind of, again, I keep saying it, but dead. And then she goes out and continues her day. It makes you wonder, how many times has she done this? How many executions has she been through? And obviously, it would seem like it's a normal thing, something that happens daily, if not weekly, right? So I think that that would have been more interesting to see all of the oppressive parts of the regime, not necessarily the specifically quote unquote what's the word I'm looking for? The racism or xenophobia, but more the oppressive regime. Nexus, what a lore live stream while I'm at school. Woot, good morning. This episode was horribly predictable, says Nexus. Cyborg XG1, I wish this could be done in STO where you stand a podium and talk about Star Trek stuff. I want them to hire me as an actor, but apparently I have to be in SAG for that to happen. But I mean, if you want to tell Trek Online Games, tweet them. It's free to tweet them today. Tell them you want me to be a captain. So I'm just working through my head everything that went through. So we have the execution, and she talks about how it's normalized, how this is inside of her. I like that. Again, I think it goes back to Deep Space Nine, where they talk about how humans, we can pretend to be evolved, we can pretend to be more than we are, but ultimately it does kind of come down to the situation we're in. That's just the way humanity is. We evolve based on what we're watching and what we're doing. And I think that our adaptability makes it so that we can become the monsters that we pretend to hate. I do hope, and I think Anti-Tracker said this, I do hope they do a episode where you see the Mirror Universe crew in the Prime Universe. So you see the Mirror Universe Discovery, which I think would be very awesome to see how they interact, especially when they go back and you think about it. Remember, Spock in Mirror Mirror, for those who have seen it, Spock said, it's easier for civilized people to act barbaric. He didn't use barbaric, he used another word, but civilized people to act barbaric than barbaric people to act civilized. And if they played off that, I think that would be cool. I would love to watch the adventures of the Mirror Universe USS Discovery and see what they do. Of course, they'd be evil, because that's just what they do. It'd be funny if they were like the nicest people on the face of the planet. Their Mirror Universe is actually a competent Discovery crew that loves people and takes care of people, and they're flowers that always rain by. That'd be funny. Wouldn't do that, but that would be funny. Let's take a look at what people say in War Games Prototype. I can't watch Discovery due to the paywall, and there's no way to see them for free. So far, I've seen she kind of enjoys being in command. She has said that. She does kind of enjoy being in command. If you can afford it, at this point, I would suggest buying CBS for 1 month just to binge watch it, because you may find yourself enjoying later episodes. You got to watch the episodes that suck because it has to make sense, but you may ultimately find yourself enjoying it. Anti-Tracker doesn't agree with me. A lot of people don't agree with me on that, but that's what I would suggest, and I wouldn't have suggested that before. They've gotten that much better. That's worth seeing if you would like where they came to. I heard Captain Lorca is actually from the Mirror Universe. A lot of people are saying that this is actually Captain Lorca from the Mirror Universe. That'd be an interesting twist. I would more want to see Lorca I would more want to see this Lorca be the Prime Universe, and Mirror Universe Lorca comes and he's the captain that people expect him to be. How interesting would that be if he was the captain that was stalwart, that did things the way Picard would or Cisco would? I think that would be more interesting. Please have some mercy for both Tillys. Everybody loves Tilly now. You know, it's interesting. Tilly is like Star Trek's version of Tilly is the Star Trek version of Ahsoka from Star Wars. People hated her when she first came out. Now everybody likes her. It's interesting how fans change on a dime. I do like Tilly. I think that this isn't even just trying to look at it optimistically. I think Tilly is one of the better parts of the series. Maybe even one of the best parts of the series, if you ask me. And I hope that they do. I hope that they do a lot more with Tilly. I really do. I'd very much enjoy seeing Tilly come to a captain and get into the role. And maybe what would be interesting if Saru was hurt. Let's say if Saru was hurt for some reason. Or she's in a position where people are coming on board the Discovery, or she has to talk to somebody, and she has to make command decisions at that point. That would be very interesting, because that would continue her arc, I think. And towards the end of the season, we could complete that arc with her making a valued command decision that works out, that she really wouldn't have been in the position to, or shouldn't have, and shows she's really ready for command, and start seeing her going down the command line. I think that would be very, very cool. Mirror Universe Romulans are logical, and y'all are talking too much. Mirror Universe... Sorry. I missed it, whatever it was. At Lore Reloaded, I wonder what moron gave a starship a front window. Yeah, we were talking about that beforehand. The very first episode shows why you don't have windows on starships, especially windows that are the view screens. Because if I knew that my enemy had a view screen for their starship specifically, I would find a way to bypass the filters and make it as bright as possible, and then just flash the crew. The entire combat, they'd have nothing but that flashing in their eyes with filters that couldn't overdo it. The Right Gamer says maybe the ISS Discovery is pretending to be civilized, peace-loving people in the Prime universe. It goes back to what I said about Spock. Spock says it's hard for barbaric people to act civilized. Now, maybe they are. Maybe they're doing the exact same thing that the USS Discovery is, which is acting against their norm. I would be very interested to see an episode with them in the Prime universe and then them return. And how cool would that be to see the changes that had on that ship? Additionally, I really liked seeing evil Stamets. I'm curious what they're going to do with, well, evil Mirror Universe Stamets. It's going to be cool if Stamets and Mirror Universe Stamets team up to try to switch them back over. Especially since Mirror Universe Stamets is probably going to be more blood-hungry, lust-filled. Be funny if they made him straight, too. I don't think they'll do that, but that'd be interesting. USS Discovery would have to have a lot of people down if Tilly was to make the Prime Discovery at this point in time. I guess what you're trying to say is there would have to be a lot of people killed before she became captain. Of course there would have to be a lot of people killed before she became captain, but she's considered the captain in the Mirror Universe. So it wouldn't be out of the norm. It wouldn't be a stretch if the episode made it. So she had to make command decisions at that point. And the crew had to follow them, because if they didn't, they would be discovered. And in making those command decisions, she is able to trick her way out and get the crew to safety. Nexus says, or you could flash the crew with naked Klingons like CBS does the audience. That's true. That's probably what I'd do. I'd just have projectors, and they would do that blood gore scene over and over and over and over. And over. Don't be sorry for being late. Just don't let it happen again. Yeah, Arjun Neighbor. Arjun Neighbor said he was sorry for being late. And it shouldn't happen again. Y'all should be here exactly on time. So, moving on. I do think that the interactions Michael does with others on the ship is... Michael, as a character, can be very wooden. And that... She just is. The acting can be very wooden. And I don't know that that's necessarily the actress' fault, because you'll notice a lot of Vulcans are wooden. They just are. And I think that's a lot of the directors in a way they're told to be versus the way they actually are, or are supposed to be. But I think you do see subtext with Michael's interactions between other Mirror Universe characters, including the XO. Also, I found out from a comment that if I don't know the name of the actress, the XO, I am not as knowledgeable as people think, because I am supposed to be a walking encyclopedia. But, you know, you can see how confused they are, how annoyed they get with her, especially the XO. I think there's a lot of chemistry going on there, and I hope they do something with that. And then her interactions with, of course, those others in command. It's funny how she just pops up all of a sudden, and nobody questions it. Starfleet Command doesn't want any kind of medical stuff done on her. They don't want a psych eval. They don't want her to give her full of where she is. It's just, oh, you didn't die. You captured this dude. You're back. Let's just keep you in command. Let's just go with it. You know, let's not question it at all. I think that's funny. I think the Terran Empire, with the exception of the xenophobia and the racism, is also presented pretty well. I like that they talk about how the Terran Empire is fearful and how they have all of these walls and cryptography, even from their own captains. I think it builds it out in that way really well. I hope, like they're doing with Michael, so they're moving slowly away from being Michael-focused to ensemble. I feel like. And I think that if they continue that, if they continue focusing less on the xenophobia and the racism and more on this oppressive regime, it'll be extremely interesting. So we'll have to see what's happening. At Lore Reloaded, would it be cool if Crossfield class was added to Trek Online? They need to add all of them to Trek Online. It'd be cool if they added all of them, and I'm sure they will. Don't be surprised when you start seeing Discovery ships showing up on Star Trek Online. That's going to happen. Alexandra says, if conspiracy people are right and Lorca is from the Mirror Universe, then Mirror Stamets must be in cahoots with him. He told Prime Universe Stamets, I've been waiting for you in that trance. Maybe. Or maybe he knew that Prime Universe was going to show up to where he was. I didn't put that together. That'd be some intricate writing that we haven't seen them do before. That I would think that's interesting. I wonder how the current story arc will fit with Mirror Mirror, says fanboy Imus Prime. Yeah, they're going to have to do a lot to try to justify why you have an exo-Vulcan in the Mirror Universe. What's probably going to happen, and I hope this doesn't, but what may happen is Michael may show how being racist is bad and how you need to rise above it. So the Terran Empire slowly starts moving towards the regime. I hope not. I hope that they find a way to do it without having Michael be the savior of the Terran Empire. Kutwalski says, how the ISS Discovery and USS Discovery swapped universes at the same time doesn't really make sense. How did his coordinate change affect the ISS Discovery? It's not clear yet. Yeah, so trying to parse together the Mirror Universe also having Spore Drive is odd to me. The Terran Empire is obviously winning the war. And while I could see the Terran Empire wanting to have the advantage of a Spore Drive, I wouldn't see them being pushed as much or needed it as much. So if if they were using a Spore Drive and Stamets was knocked out on both Mirror and Prime Universe, I mean, you can correlate it, but it just doesn't seem likely because there's not as much of a push. And I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have a Spore Drive, but I guess they'd have to for the two Stamets to come together. It just doesn't. It's hard to put those together. I would agree with Kutwalski, whether Kutwalski meant it that way or not. At Lore Reloaded, I always find it amazing how Leonard Nimoy played Spock as silently depressed, while Sarek and every other Vulcan is played as silently angry with the universe. I think Nimoy, especially as the show progressed in the original series and into the movies, played a Vulcan not wooden. And I don't know completely how to explain it, but there was emotion there. There was logic there. And I don't think that Vulcans are wooden, which a lot of people play them like. If you look at Michael, she's not a Vulcan, but she's raised as a Vulcan, is pretty repressed. And I don't know that Vulcans are necessarily repressed as much as they just keep most of their emotions down. I think there's a difference. I really do. I mean, how the Discovery went there and Kirk didn't. I don't know what that means, fanboy says Pride. If you're talking about Mirror Mirror, the Mirror Universe crew swapped with the Prime Universe crew. You even see the Mirror Universe crew in the Prime timeline, which is funny. Spock realizes that they are not who they say they are and locks them up almost instantly. It's one of the funny things that I'd see. There's no Spore Drive in any other Star Trek series, says Rod B. Rules. That is true. To my knowledge, there's no Spore Drive. Michael is like John Connor from Terminator. He will save the humans. Don't know how, but the story will not make sense and never get as satisfying. I hope they don't do that. I hope that it's not that I don't want Michael to have a pivotal role. I think that if it was ensemble, Michael could be very interesting in what she does. And you can even have her where she has a pivotal role and changes. But if you make her a savior, you're just going to continue to make people just angrier and angrier and divide our base up more. It's meant to be an ensemble. People are used to ensemble. I don't know why we're trying to move away from that. Ketwalski, I did, and I agree the situation doesn't really make sense yet. Hopefully we get more explanations and the two Stamets during the next episode. Fanboy is, let's see. Fanboy says, I mean, Kirk didn't know about the mirror universe at all. Kirk was in the mirror universe. You're gonna have to explain that a little bit more, because Kirk was in the Oh, okay, I get what you're. That makes sense. So, and that's a point I didn't even think about. So yeah, Kirk and crew had no idea about the mirror universe, and yet we have a prime timeline crew who have been in the mirror universe. So when they return, they must have not reported it, because Kirk and them never find out about it. They have no idea what they're talking about. That's a really good plot hole that you just pointed out. Man, I wonder if anyone else has thought of that. I mean, I'm going to have to bring that up, because that is a huge plot hole, unless they can find some way. That's on par with them figuring out how to fight the Borg and how to stop the Borg from assimilating people, and then 200 years later have absolutely no idea what's going on. That's a huge plot hole. Good going. You win the internet for today. Ketwalski said, what did you think about the smirk with Lorca? Which smirk are you talking about, Ketwalski? Give me a little more context and I'll let you know. Adris Ahmed, hi, Lore Reloaded guy. What I don't get about the Star Trek Discovery is that Michael Burnham is a human female raised as a Vulcan. My question is, why does she have a male name? That's probably more due to real-world politics than anything else. I don't mind as much as her being called Michael. It doesn't bother me. I don't care what she calls herself or what other people call her. It's the person I'm looking at. It is kind of eye-rolling when you consider all of the politics from outside of the show that they talk about. And I'm sure it's something to do with that. I am absolutely sure that it was something stupid and political trying to make some kind of point. Could the whole journey be classified, hence why Kirk doesn't know? That's contrived. That is honestly contrived. This entire thing happened, but we're going to classify it and not tell our captains, even though there's a chance that our captains could have this happen. That's contrived. I mean, I've seen that done before, and that's just horrific writing, if you ask me. The ending scene smirk when the Emperor appeared and Burnham was bowing before her. Oh, okay. And that's what I thought you were talking about, but I wanted to make sure. I think that could be a subtle hint. They've started being subtle, so that might be a subtle hint where he is from this universe, so he sees what's going on, and he knows where this is going. You know, Lorca is such an interesting character, and sometimes he's hard to read. And I don't know if that's due to bad writing or just trying to display someone with post-traumatic stress syndrome who doesn't know, who's acting oddly to events. I don't know if they did that also just to kind of throw us off or not. I like how he said, I don't bow to anybody, and then gets hit. He could be in character. I will agree that is a good subtle hint that there may be something going on, that he may actually be from the other universe. Now here's an interesting idea, and I'm sure it's come up. But what if Lorca did, in the Prime universe, Lorca did actually die in that attack? That the Prime universe Lorca did what we would expect the captain to do, which is to go down with the ship fighting and attempting to save his crewmates, and then it's destroyed. But Mirror Universe Lorca comes over at that point, and Mirror Universe Lorca sees that happen and then just makes up the story. Or, also, another thing, maybe he comes over, he sees the ship, he sees that Lorca and the crew are going to be tortured by the Klingons. He sees what's happening to them, And so he destroys the ship. He kills Lorca and the crew. That would be an interesting arc, though I think it would remove him as captain and put Saru as captain, and now Michael's the XO, or somehow Michael becomes the CEO of Discovery. I hope they don't get rid of Lorca that way. I don't want Lorca to leave. I'd love Lorca to stay as captain. I think he's a good captain. 14K Liam, can you imagine if Starfleet had ships with spore drives during the Dominion War? Yeah, they'd win. That would be game. They would absolutely win in that instance. At Katwalski and at Lore Reloaded, another detail that someone pointed out on Reddit was even the light is different here, connecting it with Lorca's sensitivity to light. Huh. You guys may be pulling me over to this. That's why he has to do his eyes and everything? And maybe that's why he doesn't want any surgery done, because then they'd find out something more is going to it. But if that's true, that means the entire ISS Discovery crew are having a really bad day with the light. A really bad day with the light. I don't hate that. I don't hate that. You may be pulling me around. This may be the Lorca that we've always known, may be Mirror Universe Lorca. I'm liking it. I don't know. We'll have to think about it. By the way, for those who don't know, if you like Katwalski, definitely check him out. Really great. Does a lot of the same things I do. And we'll be having a collaboration video on both of our channels coming up very shortly, which I'm looking forward to. Really, it's my fault that we haven't done it yet, because I'm always busy. Laura, I got to head out. Love your work. Cyborg, I love you. Loving my work. Thanks for coming, brother. With a spore drive, Janeway would have been home the same day she was whisked away. Yeah, spore drive really destroys any need for a warp drive and breaks the canon. So the fact they have to get rid of it ultimately makes sense to me. Fanboy is Prime. I have to say here that I enjoy your poking at Star Trek Online plot holes. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do a Star Trek Online episode this week, which I wanted to, but unfortunately so much has come up. So I'm going to start that back next week. I enjoy it. I've already got the footage and everything. I just got to write it together. My theory, Katwalski's saying for what I've actually just said, my theory, Mirror Universe Lorca killed Prime Lorca and Burnham crew. Lorca and the Buran crew? Buran. Took his place and got the USS Discovery to help further his goals. You know, I think Mirror Universe Lorca is actually... He may be an evil guy, but I would prefer Mirror Universe Lorca be a good guy. I would prefer that Prime Universe be evil Lorca, Mirror Universe be good Lorca. And the reason why is because Mirror Universe doesn't always mean evil. It means the people who are evil are good. We see that with Voke. It would be very cool if this universe Lorca, if it was Mirror Universe, that he was good. I would love that as a dichotomy. I think that'd be very interesting. The episodes in the Mirror Universe are much better than the ones in the Prime Universe, says CRR. Can't help but agree with that. Honestly, I like a lot of later seasons, so up to the mid-season finale, and I hate mid-season finales. Why, God, why mid-season finales? But late mid-season, so middle of the season, got a lot better. And it's just progressively getting better. For all the issues that I have with the show, I have to say that if they had started maybe in the 3rd episode or maybe the 4th episode and started making it from there and doing stuff like that, I would be a much bigger fan. They're still having to pull me away from their bad start. And they're still having to pull me away from their political views outside of the actual show. And the fact that I have to deal with a lot of people who try to come on the channel and try to talk about how you have to be completely and utterly 100% evil and you have to be a Nazi in this day and age to be portrayed as evil, and it's just people are stupid. Anyway, could the bioneural gel pack be long offshoot tech from the spore drive? It makes as much sense as the spore drive, and the bioneural gel packs can get sick. Your ship can get sick. People can make your ship sick and kill you that way. Makes a ton of sense. I say that that's what happened. Lorca as an anti-hero who fled the Mirror Universe to the Prime-verse because he was sick of the Terran Empire Emperor is a really great idea in theory. Would love to see that play out as opposed to straight bad. You see, and that's what I'm saying, Ketwalski. That's how cool that would have been. So let's say that, he was basically what the Prime Universe Lorca should have been. He rebelled. He got near killing the and this could have happened too. So he gets near to killing the Emperor, right? Or Empress. She's Empress, but we'll call him Emperor. Gets near killing the Emperor, and it has to do with the Baran. And instead of the Klingons attacking the Baran, maybe it was Lorca with rebels that were attacking the Baran. The Baran explodes through whatever technobabble you want. He finds himself on the in the Prime Universe, and the Baran is destroyed. The Prime Universe Baran is destroyed with everybody, including Lorca, and he makes up the entire thing. So he makes up the entire scene of why it was destroyed. So the Baran events happen on both sides, and he transports over. Now, what might have been interesting is maybe we'll have Prime Universe Lorca who transported back. So you have Prime Universe in the Mirror Universe in the Prime Universe. That's going to get a little confusing, but it would be very interesting. Corey 2000, is the Prime Universe the Mirror Universe to the Mirror Universe? That's getting a little deep, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, calling it the Prime Universe is just a way of us understanding. In theory, the Prime Universe is the Mirror Universe to the Mirror Universe, right? And to them, it's completely evil. The right gamers say, and this is something that I'm starting to agree with as well, we have infinite mirror universes that are variants to the Prime and infinite variants to the Mirror Universe and beyond and beyond. Yeah, in the Next Generation, they basically confirm that hypertime exists in that universe. And hypertime is basically whatever can happen would happen. So there is a universe in hypertime where I take my coffee right here and I throw it onto the screen and onto the camera. And in that universe, that would be Prime, and there would be a mirror universe to that where an evil me takes the coffee and drinks it. So there's infinite timelines with infinite mirror universes. We get into some real Rick and Morty stuff here, and I don't know that I can do that. I'm not smart enough to watch Rick and Morty, so I don't watch Rick and Morty. And yes, it was Parallels. I know. I am thinking about Parallels. What's going on, Luke Bednall? Yeah, the Borg are everywhere. Interesting fun fact. So if you ever go on Jeopardy and you want to win Jeopardy, my channel got its big break from me doing a video on Parallels where I talk about how the Borg had taken over the universe. That video went viral. That video went viral, and from there, the channel just grew and grew. Like the universe where Janeway is the best captain ever and Sisko is the worst? Yes, there is an actual universe, as hard as that is to believe. Luke Bednall says, this is something I've been wondering about for days. How do you think Discovery will fix the huge plot holes like the design of the Klingon ships, how the Klingons look compared to the original series? I honestly consider Discovery now to be reimagined. I don't think they're going to fix it. I don't trust the writers. I don't trust the director. I don't trust the producer. They've lied multiple times where they've said it's going to be Prime Universe. It's obviously not. We're going to stick to canon. That's obviously not. We're going to respect the franchise. They obviously don't. It's going to be, I don't know if they ever, I got the impression it was going to be family friendly. I don't know if they ever said that directly. Maybe it's just because Trek has always been family friendly. And it's obviously not. By any means. My girls will have to be teenagers before they watch this show. So if Lorca kills the Empress, does that mean Michael saves the Terran Empire using the power of Mary Sue? There is no Mary Sue. There's only Michael Sue when we're watching Star Trek Discovery. Remember, Michael Sue. Now, the worst I think is going to happen, and I could see this happening, is Michael impresses upon Michael impresses upon Giorgio that you need to be better than what you are, and you need to create the Federation, and and she doesn't necessarily completely bring Giorgio over there, but the Emperor decides to not be as xenophobic, to not be as racist. And I think that's going to be the extent to what they do, which would then make Mirror make sense. So, at best, I think that's going to be. Fanboy is Prime. Well, the first novel had the writer make Discovery and the Cage work. That's fine. When they actually do an actual episode that make Discovery and the Cage work, then I'll take a look, but I'm not really necessarily worried about novels. Because sometimes the people who write the novels aren't the people who write the episodes. And I don't, you need to make a good work. I need to calm down. The work should be able to stand on its own. You shouldn't have to buy a book to make it work. Okay? If someone has to write because you're too stupid to know about what you're talking about, then you failed. Rick Van Boberson. Laura, have you seen Ketwalski's video on basically where the season is going? I feel like he's pretty spot on. The show is very predictable. I've watched all of well, not all. I've watched quite a few of Ketwalski's works, just like I've seen Pete's works and The Right Gamers. I like all of those channels. Yeah, I liked that video. I don't know. I 100% agree with it. I'd have to rewatch it before I really gave any kind of critiques. Plus, I wouldn't want to do that just off the cuff. I don't want to. I don't want to be rude or anything like that. I used to do reply videos, and I don't know that I'll ever do that on this channel. But I think it's worth watching. I think he brings up some great points, so I would suggest watching it. Dravo, you're not a morning person, are you? What are you trying to say, Dravo? I am a morning person. This is me being a morning person. I'm always morning. Original morning right here. Original. Ow, that hurt. I'm not a fighter. Haven't seen the Borg in the Mirror Universe. Confused. I haven't seen the Borg in the Mirror Universe either. There is a novel about the Borg being in the Mirror Universe, but I haven't seen that. There should be a sex scene between Michael and Spock. What is wrong with you? Technically, it's not... Man, why are we getting into this conversation? I'm not going to go further than to say this. Technically, it may legally be, in the United States, I think that's legally considered incest, but technically, they're different lines. Technically. I want to see the Klingons morph into a human-like state and, well, trying to overcome the mutation to go back the... A lot of people have said... and this might be interesting, is the reason why the Klingons look the way they do is because they're still going through the mutation of the virus. I wouldn't be surprised if they use that, but I think that has that's a cop-out to a degree. If they said they had planned that all along, I guess I'd take their word for it. Again, I don't necessarily trust them when they say things, but... maybe. I guess I'd take them at their word. At least it would explain it. The anti-trekker would hate it. Yeah. Yes, there is the Borg in the Mirror Universe TNG novel, Best of Both Worlds. Ketwalski, I think it's called Worst of Both Worlds, isn't it, in the novel? I think the novel is called Worst of Both Worlds. It's an interesting read. I think, if I remember reading it correctly, when... during the war, the Klingon-Cardassian War, and the Terran Empire was losing, I may be wrong, but I think Picard and Soong went to find the Borg, and Soong got assimilated? Maybe? I could be wrong on that. The Spore Drive stick around Season 2. They make a jump to the Delta Quadrant, and then we got Voyager all over again, just done much worse. I never thought I'd say that. Voyager can be done worse, but they could. I honestly cannot understand how, if Discovery had fans on staff, half of Burbank didn't hear you did what to the Klingon? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't trust them when they said we had fans who took a look at it, fans who did it. I don't think so. I think you had professional writers, and I think you called it Prime Universe so that you could get people to watch it, and I think you lied. I think it's basically Discovery reimagined, and I'm a small YouTuber. I'm really nobody, but I'd be happy for anyone on the cast or on the on who works on the show if they'd like to come and have a conversation online with me about it. Hey, the gauntlet's been dropped. Not that they care. I mean, I'm a nobody, but still, I think they straight up lied. I do, and I think they did it for ratings. And I dare one of them to come on and prove me wrong on that. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, the Klingons have been affected by the blue flu, turning them into war smurfs. I don't know what that is. I'm probably going to get banned. Not banned. They'll probably now demonetize me because I don't know what that is. Why are the Terrans aggressive? If they keep killing superiors like captains, then they could have defended the Empire with experienced officers. Yeah, that's the only thing I didn't like about Mirror Mirror. It makes no sense to be able to kill your commanding officer. You can run an evil empire and be evil and not allow assassinations within your government. That's the only way it works, too. Now, there may still be assassinations, but it wouldn't be openly done. And you'd have to go out of your way to hide it. You couldn't just kill someone and that be okay. That's just poor writing. Yeah. Anyway. So, I came here to talk about how awesome Discovery was, and you guys were able to bring me back from saying how much it sucked. So, great. You diverted me. I'm sure people who are watching this are now upset with you, and I blame you guys. At Lore Reloaded, are you aware that the Spore Drive was inspired by a real dude called Stamets? He's an expert in fungus, and he's been on the Joe Rogan show. There's real-life lore for you to research. I don't know about researching real-life lore. I like the science fiction or science fantasy lore that I like to do. I think, too, there's really compelling evidence that they stole the entire Spore Drive idea from a game. Almost beat for beat. You should look into that. You should look into the Spore Drive and how Discovery probably did steal a storyline from a game from a small indie developer, and go from there, because it is really close. I mean, almost beat for beat. That is cool, though, that there is a real Paul Stamets, and that they based it on a Spore Drive technology. They even, to my understanding, the Next Generation, the Next Generation and the original series, they talked to people at NASA and scientists and said, how would it have done? And then went from there. Timothy Dutton, a lot of sci-fi is plagiarized ideas, and it's wrong. If you plagiarize it beat for beat, it is absolutely, positively, 100% wrong. You shouldn't steal it beat for beat. Now, it's not wrong to take an idea and morph that idea into something of your own. There's nothing under the sun that isn't a rehash of something else, right? This show, Lore Reloaded, is derivative. I'm not the first lore channel to ever exist, obviously. I'm not the first person to say, hey, I love doing reviews on stuff. Let me take it from a different side, though, and do it the lore. I'm not the first person to ever do live shows or do audience-specific. But you won't find a show like mine because it's mine, because it's something I put into. It's derivative of other shows. It was inspired by SF Debris. It was inspired by Lore Runner. It was inspired by Ketwalski. It was inspired by all these other channels. It was inspired by there's a really big lore channel, and they make their own people, and they're like stick figures. I forget who they are. But this is my work. There's a difference between derivative and plagiarism. Plagiarism is absolutely wrong. Making a derivative work is not, in my opinion. Yeah. Are you Prime lore or Mirror lore? Given the way our world is, I'm probably Mirror Universe lore, which means that Prime lore is probably really successful, thin, and can do 25 jumping jacks in a row without at any point getting winded, I would say. But definitely I'm Mirror Universe lore for the win. You aren't going to keep sacrificing people to try to perfect Spore Drive since you can't get data. I think the lack of Star Trek and Transformers crossovers is because of Hasbro and CBS not seeming to like each other. I would not like a Star Trek and Transformer crossover. I would not enjoy it at all. Yeah, I got a beard. You got it. You nailed it. By the way, guys, if you're watching this, don't forget to thumb up or thumb down. I don't care. Interactions are interactions. So let me know what you guys think, and thumb it up. We'll be ending this fairly shortly. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Tuesdays, I've decided not to... I probably generally won't have a video come out on Tuesdays. I'll probably just come and do this, just hang out with you guys, and then Wednesdays will be the Geek Breakdown, where I do that on the opposite side, and then I'll play games whenever I can. Can we have a Star Trek and Alien crossover? We already did in Star Trek Discovery. That was a derivative work of Star Trek Discovery, where it's aliens meet Star Trek. Spore jump to the real Trek universe, then Stamets makes it never work forever. We are back to regular Star Trek, and the Spore drive is a failed experiment. That's the only way I can see them saving it. If they, at the end of this season, or within the next couple of episodes, have Mirror Universe Stamets and normal Stamets work, make the Spore drives work, the ISS Discovery goes back to the Terran Empire, but the USS Discovery doesn't go back to its Prime Universe. It goes back to the Prime Universe of the Trek we know. Then I think that they've fixed it. A lot of people will call that contrived and not like it. Honestly, at this point, I think they should keep it the way it is. I think that the Discovery should go back to their Prime Universe, and they keep all of this tech, and they just consider it a reboot. That's all they gotta do, is consider it a reboot, you know? Surely, in Star Trek Online, they could bring the Spore drive back in a mission as they have drastically better technology. Do you think something like this could be possible? I think something like this will happen. I think that Star Trek Online copies or imitates everything that happens on TV and in the novels. They'd be stupid not to. They should have the Spore drive in Star Trek Online. It should be tied in to the Discovery, and that should be maybe the way you get a ship like Discovery, or a ship like the Shinzu. I would be interested to see a Mirror Universe. I don't know that they would do it. I'd be interested to see a Mirror Universe series. I would be interested to see it from the height of the Terran Empire, and as it falls, go down. And you see them transform and become better people, watching their empire completely be destroyed. I would be interested in that. Nexus, don't go to class. Just, forget about class. You'll never need any of that knowledge. Just stay here with me. Just stay here, buddy. It's okay. Spore drive console. Same move on the 9th episode of Star Trek Discovery with a Klingon flagship. That would be interesting if they did that. I don't know how they would be able to code that. That seems pretty hard to code. But if your ship would just disappear and appear all around, destroying ships. All right, guys. Going to be wrapping up pretty shortly. Any other questions? Anything you wanna combine on? Von Miller, or the Spore drive is deemed a bioweapon, or the spores in the tardigrade is placed on the endangered species list, and all the whatevers in the Federation will run from it, I guess. What do you mean by you wouldn't let a kid watch Star Trek Discovery? I love it, and I'm 13. Luke, at 13, I may be more apt to let a teenager watch it. But I'm sorry, even a teenager would need a parent there to have a discussion with them. And I know you disagree with that, and that's fine. In 30 years when I'm dead, I want you to remember this conversation and see if you agree with me. But a 12, 11, 10, 9, and definitely 7-year-old should not be watching a show where you have a sex scene with a woman on top of a man riding him, and you can see her bare breasts, intersplaned with, intersplaned, that's not even a word, combined right next to a scene where it is so graphic you see the blood coming from the flesh that's being cut and that drip onto the floor. Sex scene, gore. Sex scene, gore. I'm sorry, a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and even 12-year-old aren't prepared for what they're seeing. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17? Well, 13, 14, 15 definitely should have, it should be dependent on the kid, and they should be watching them. And should watch it with them, just in case the kid needs anything. 16 and 17, you're fine. 18, continue on. If you are a Star Trek fan, watch Deep Space Nine, watch Discovery, you'll know what I'm talking about. And that's just my opinion. Luke, you can disagree. I know that when I was a 13, I'm not knocking you. I'm not knocking you, brother. I have completely different opinions at 13 than I do at what age I'm now. And I don't mean that I don't mean that in a bad way. And you're not a baby, as Mr. Pete says. Mr. Pete needs to shut up. I just think that as we get older, we get different opinions. So, I think that the younger you are, the more it can have a negative impact if it's done too early. And that's all I'm saying. And that's my opinion, Luke. You can disagree. Honestly, I'd be interested, again, in 30 years when I'm dead and you're 43 or however old you'll be. If you remember this conversation, I'd be interested to see if your opinion doesn't change. That's just, it is what it is. Spore Drive Mind Control. Spore Drive Mind Control. I don't know what that means. Time to beg for shout-outs, says Cyborg. I shout out everybody. People will look back on STD and think it was so bad. I see, Bad Wolf Gamer. The thing about Time is it usually makes a bad show meh, and it usually makes a great show an okay show. There are a lot of times when nostalgia changes what a show is. There have been shows that have been hated. People forget Deep Space Nine was hated. The ratings were horrible. People didn't like watching it. And now it's considered the pinnacle of what Star Trek was. You never know. You never know what people are going to say. And I'll say this. If they continue improving like they are throughout the series, if they continue going down this path and don't take steps back, and they do 2 seasons, I will have considered Discovery a pretty good Trek show that I would suggest. If they can get rid of the gore and porn, in my opinion. I think they're on the right path. I do. By the way, just going back to the 13-year-old, someone said, I think your parents should watch it with you and have a discussion. Man, as a 13-year-old, that is the last thing I would have wanted. If they just wanted to sit there and like, let's talk about all this, I would not have stood for that at all. I mean, if they wanted to talk about it like normal human beings, like I would with friends, I may be okay. But I would, it's like, let's talk about what we just watched. Man, screw off. You're like 100. I'm the future. Luke, if you had enough, where to go? If you had enough money, would you ever make a fan film? I think one by you would be brilliant. I have always said that if you guys can get me $20,000, I will make the fan film that I think you guys would love. I would need an additional $50,000 to defend against CBS attacks and lawsuits. But yeah, if I had enough. I've had a lot of people request that I start making my own like lore series where either I do a fan fiction using Star Trek Online or I make a completely original work. I'm not against that, but I really think I still need to just focus on building my audience and just being an entertainer for you guys. Maybe down the road, like when we hit 40,000, 50,000 subscribers, maybe if I get that big, I might then try to do a series where you guys help me put it together. But for right now, I really just enjoy being an entertainer, which is what I consider myself. Just an entertainer for you guys, doing what I love and getting paid to do it. When I was 13, Star Trek Starfleet Command was the best game. PC, look it up, try it out, and get good. I'm telling you, I think I was a teenager, 13, 14, but I love Star Trek Bridge Commander, Armada, and Armada 2. I grew up on Armada and Armada 2. I love real-time strategies because of Warcraft and Armada. Captain Lore of the USS Enterprise Z. That's right. Z. By the way, we're doing the Victorious Dominion, that series where we see a comeback by the Terran Rebellion or the Starfleet Rebellion, whatever you want to call it. That's going to be on Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. I actually got Armada 1 working on my computer. I was elated. Unfortunately, I can't Alt-Tab out of it. I'm so used to playing games where I can Alt-Tab and listen to something while I'm playing. I have played Sins of a Solar Empire 2, the Armada mod. which is pretty cool. Birth of the Federation sounds familiar. I'm not sure. I played Starfleet Command. Do I have those? Yeah, right here. Let me pull up this so I can see. I got Armada, because I had a nostalgia trip. Not that it matters if you steal the code or not, but I'll cover it. Empires at War. And then Bridge Commander, and that CD is still in my computer right now. Bridge Commander was awesome. Oh man, I loved Bridge Commander because you got to command a ship. How fun was that? My favorite ship in Star Trek Online would be the Akira, because the Akira rocks. Did you guys like the game Star Trek Legacy? I've never played it. I would love to play Star Trek Legacy. I'd love to have it. In fact, there's this guy, I think his name's Justice Gaming, maybe? It might be something else, who plays Legends, or plays Legacy. And that would be so awesome for my videos, too. If I could get a copy of Legacy, and I've been thinking about it. I guess I just need to go find one. That would just be stellar. I'd play that online with you guys. There's some stuff you have to modify, but you can't get Armada working. All right, guys. I think that's probably where we. Yeah. Email me, Cyborg. Email me at james@lorereloaded.com. I'll send you the information on how I got mine working. All right, guys. I think we are going to end it there. But before we do that, I want to say I enjoyed Elite Forces as well. Beyond that, guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this show. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and definitely check me out on twitter.com/LoreReloaded, as well as facebook.com/LoreReloaded. Got some collectibles coming at you tomorrow at the Geek Breakdown. Be there at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll be showing off the Voyager. We'll be talking about Voyager, and I'll be giving away a collectible, almost any collectible that you could want. I'll make sure it gets to you. I want to thank you so much, and don't forget that I will see you on the next Lore Reloaded.